So what's going on, guys? My name's Chopper, and it's been quite a while since we've really looked at PUBG and determined the rarest items in this game. It has been so long since I've even done that, and I figured today would probably be the best time to do so. And I gotta say, researching for this list of the things that I want to put on here, I really kind of forgot about how many crazy things have been added to this game that are just so incredibly rare, so I think this list may surprise some of you guys. And as always, if you guys do go on to enjoy today's video, then spare a second to drop a thumbs up, and it does help me out a ton. Make sure to go and subscribe if you are brand new to the channel. I've got some really interesting videos coming up that I'm working on a couple special things, so you're going to want to stick around and not miss them, and I'd really appreciate it. We're so close to 250,000, so thank you guys so much again for that. Last but not least, just so you guys know, I'm streaming on Twitch the night this video goes live and every other night as well. So make sure you click the link in the description. Go follow my Twitch channel if you haven't done already. A lot of you guys have been heading over there and enjoying the stream, so I really appreciate that. But if you haven't, make sure you click the link, and I'll see you over there for the stream. Just need to quickly get all that housekeeping stuff out of the way. But guys, let's get into the top 15 rarest items currently in PUBG. Taking the number 15 spot, I'm going to give to the adrenaline syringe. Now, I believe the last time we kind of looked at these, the adrenaline syringe was still only an airdrop item. If you guys didn't know, the adrenaline syringe you can find on the ground, which is essentially the best boost item, used to only come in drops, and it was a very, very special thing to get. And even though it still does come in drops now and then, and you can find it on the ground, I'd say as a whole, and especially in comparison to all of the other med items in the game, this is certainly one of the rarest. But definitely for good reason, as it is the most efficient boost item. It takes the exact same amount of time to use as the painkillers, however, you get 100 boost instead of just 60. One of the problem is with adrenaline syringes is that they don't stack in your inventory. It used to be sort of like medkits where they would just kind of stack on one another and you couldn't have multiple of the same item without taking up a lot of inventory space. Adrenaline syringes still do that, but they've changed medkits to now where you can stack them. Moving on, and coming in at 14 is the extended quick draw mag. So some of you guys have been asking me, where is the regular quick draw sniper mag been? Like, you haven't been finding it in loot. You haven't even been finding it in crates for that matter. As far as I'm aware, this attachment has been entirely removed from the game, and while the regular sniper extended mag is pretty common to find, I think, especially on Vikendi, the difference is the extended quick draw is only in crates. I guess I don't really understand why they did it like this. If they had to remove the standard quick draw mag entirely, then why make the extended mag just a common spawn as well, and then make the quick draw a crate thing? I don't know. It's a very jumbled mess with these attachments, but it is still decently rare, and it seems to only come out of drops when you do get a sniper, so specifically the AWM. It's a pretty weird one, but yeah, the extended quick draw sniper mag is pretty rare regardless. Alright, coming in at the number 13 spot is the medkit. Now, very similar to the adrenaline syringe in, I guess, its functionality and sort of rarity on the common field. However, the difference is I don't think the medkit was ever a crate exclusive. However, nowadays there seems to be kind of a shift. It's been a lot less common as far as the regular battlefield and just looting it normally, but they seem to be somewhat reliable in airdrops. A lot of you guys have noticed that you pretty much get a free medkit with every crate that you loot, and so, not to mention the fact that you can stack these now, so if you loot multiple airdrops potentially, you could have a lot of medkits in your inventory. They do take up a ton of space, but they are certainly worth it. They're one of the best healing items in the game, but they're very rare nonetheless. Coming in at number 12 is going to be the level 3 helmet. Now, as a lot of you guys remember, when PUBG was much younger as a game, level 3 helmets were actually pretty common to find. All of the tiers of armor seem to have an equal rarity to some degree, right? Obviously, level 3 bags and vests were the rarest of those kind, but level 3 helmets, while being the rarest of the helmet category, were still not impossible to come across. And the helmet situation's unique, and it's different because it's not something that is very uniform in PUBG right now. Some maps that you can actually loot the level 3 helmet on the ground still, but some you can only attain from crates. And so whether you're getting it from a crate or whether you're trying to find it on your own, the level 3 helmet is still incredibly rare. Number 11, guys, is going to be the VSS, and regardless of what your opinion is on the VSS, whether you think it's a good weapon or not, or you think it's completely useless, doesn't exactly matter. It doesn't take away from the fact that it's a very, very uncommon weapon, no matter how you look at it. When the earliest days of PUBG were going on, this used to be a crate exclusive as well. The VSS even had its own weapon-specific attachments, making it even rare to fully kit it out with its own stuff, but that was a long time ago, and we've had the VSS as a common spawn for pretty much as long as most PUBG players nowadays can remember, and so regardless of that, it's still a very rare weapon to find on the ground amongst the regular loot pool. Coming in at number 10 is the ghillie suit, and for a long time this has been an iconic staple of PUBG. It truly is one of the only clothing items that you can wear in the game that's physically going to give you an advantage on the battlefield. It has a couple of different variants depending on what map you're playing. There's a green one, there's an upgraded green one for Aaron Go Remastered, and there's a white on Vikendi. And right now, it is the only cosmetic item that will give you a significant advantage on the battlefield, but in the future, I'd kind of like to have maybe either different variants of that ghillie suit on all maps, or like even a different kind of suit to kind of blend in with that environment. Whatever it is, there should be more versions of these cosmetics that you can only get from crates, and that's what's so rare about it. It happens most of the time you get a ghillie suit, but not always. I think having a ton of different ghillie suit color variants and style variants could be really cool, or maybe even potentially different suits as a whole. I pretty much always recommend you wear the ghillie suit when given the opportunity. It's such a good item and is easily the rarest cosmetic in-game item. Taking the number 9 spot is the 8x scope, and this has different spawn rates on different maps, believe it or not. On Vikendi, it actually has one of the highest spawn rates to find this item, and it's relatively common. You could end up with a couple of these if you get lucky, but on something like Miramar, it is actually astoundingly rare. The 8x, as you guys know, is right now the highest powered scope that you can physically find within the common loot pool. Now, you can, by contrast, find the 6x scope, which seems to be a lot more common. It almost covers the same ground, just not quite as clearly. I think basically everybody would agree that this is an incredibly rare item, no matter which way you want to look at it, but it is kind of good to know that it has different spawn rates depending on what map you're playing. Aaron Go Remastered, I feel like, is like an average spawn rate for this. Vikendi's pretty high, and Miramar is drastically low. I feel like the 8x is one of the best high-powered scopes for overall utility, but it still ends up being rare no matter what at the end of the day. Taking the number 8 spot is going to be a very rare, but in my opinion, pretty useless item, the sniper rifle compensator. Now, some of you guys are going to be like, wait, hold up. How is a compensator for snipers useless? Well, let me explain. The sniper compensator can be applied to bolt action snipers and also DMRs, and I'm not saying it's useless on DMRs because it actually does its function on there, but what I'm saying is you can use the AR comp on DMRs just the same, and it does absolutely nothing for bolt snipers. So this meaning you're probably better off keeping an AR comp if you're running a DMR, because you can switch it between some of the two most common weapons, and it's very convenient like that. The sniper comp is completely useless on bolt actions, and you don't need it. And to bust the myth right here as well, no, the sniper compensator doesn't give you more recoil reduction than the AR one. They behave identically. It's probably a good thing the SR comp is pretty rare, because otherwise it would just be one of those very annoying attachments to carry around. Coming into the number 7 spot, I'm going to give to the Groza. Now, by no means is this an impossible gun to get in the game. You can get it pretty reliably if you go and chase drops. If that's your thing, you're probably going to end up with the Groza after, I don't know, 5 or 6 crates. But this is just my theory. I don't know what the actual in-game testing on this is or what the back-end numbers say, but I really feel like there are certain crate weapons that are more common or more rare than others. The M249 I've always felt like is the most common, and the Mark 14 is among the most rare, and the Groza is like somewhere in the middle, I feel like. But as of recently, it's felt a lot more rare than all of these other weapons. I haven't really been seeing it in my matches, nor have I been getting it, and it's been a while since I've actually used it. I don't know how you guys feel about the differences between crate gun rarity, but I feel like the Groza's definitely got to be one of them if that does exist. And speaking of crate weapons, coming in at the number 6 spot is the DBS. Guys, I have not been able to get this thing for the life of me. I want to post a gameplay. I want to get a really solid match using the DBS, but I've only found it in an airdrop, I believe, one time. I've been hunting them pretty hard, going after crates religiously trying to land this DPS, but it just doesn't seem to happen. And so if I can land a DBS and get a solid gameplay, then I'll definitely post this here on the channel, as a lot of people have been asking for it. But guys, I physically cannot get this weapon. I don't know if you guys are having the same struggle, maybe because this hasn't been in the game long enough for me to really sink my teeth into it. Either way, whatever happens, the DBS seems to just evade me. Coming at the number 5 spot, I'm going to put a little caveat here and call this the Blue Zone Uplink. So this is an item that's going to be in PUBG very soon. We don't have an exact date on to when, but it should be in the game in the relatively distant future. But if you guys don't know what this does, the Blue Zone Uplink is essentially a GPS item device that will let the next zone spawn around you if you're inside of it. So the zone will pop as you as essentially the center, or as close as that's possible with the algorithm. Now, the problem with the rarity of this is, physically, when you think about it, the rules demand that there can only be one, because if there are 2 Blue Zone Uplinks, you can't really fight over the circle that way. So if this gets added to the game, there's literally only going to be one in existence. Now, that's assuming this item is still going to behave how we think it is, but if that's the case, the rules demand that there are only 1 per match. I guess we'll figure out for sure when it gets added to the game, but I would say this is going to be among the most rarest, if not the rarest item in the game. Coming in at the number 4 spot, we got the 15x scope. Now, as you guys know, this is the most high-powered scope we have in the game currently, and it's pretty ridiculous. The amount of distance that you can see with this scope is pretty much inconceivable for regular fights. If you're going to be kind of fighting an enemy that you need to see with a 15x scope, they're not going to be able to see you back unless they have the same thing. Honestly though, the best thing about the scope is it's really good for scouting and just gathering information. You don't even need to fight with it necessarily. You just can pick up so much info. You can foresee fights miles away before they're even happening or even get close to you, and I mean, that's not an exaggeration. But this scope is astoundingly rare because not only is it a kind of hit or miss for drops, for crates even, flare guns don't necessarily guarantee it either. And what I didn't realize until kind of recently, the 15x scope doesn't even spawn at all on Sanhok. Like, you physically can't have that scope on the map. So the chances that you're going to be able to land this thing match to match are just all the situations and constituents that have just really cut down on all those chances. Coming at the number 3 spot, guys, is going to be the flare gun. Now, for a long time, I would say hands down, the flare gun is the rarest item in the game no matter what, and there's really no disputing that. And the fact is, typically only 2 to 3 flare guns even spawn per match. It used to be a thing where like it was a lot more common and you'd be seeing like 5 or 6 flare guns pop off all at the same time because people would just be finding them too commonly. They increased the rarity dramatically, and now these things you don't even see every single game. Flare guns are kind of useless on their own, but they act as the gateway to all kinds of other rare goodies in the game. So for example, your own like squad crate, you can get a different vehicle, which we're going to talk about. Trying to fly in flare guns consistently is probably one of the most difficult tasks you can do. The spawn is not very consistent. Coming at the number 2 spot, speaking of flare guns, one of the rewards that you can get from it is the new BRDM tank vehicle, and this got added recently as the replacement of the armored UAZ, and whether or not that was the best idea to do with the armored UAZ is still up for debate, but the BRDM is actually sick. It's a tank that's amphibious, so you can drive it on land and water, as you guys know, and the only way to spawn this vehicle in is by shooting the flare gun and landing it outside of the safe zone. I absolutely love the BRDM, and I think it's one of the best additions as far as vehicles into the game. It's truly innovative for this, and it's very unique as well. They are extremely rare though, because not only do you need to find a flare gun, but you also need to fire it safely outside of the zone and then land that in. If you shoot the flare gun in the zone, it's just going to give you kind of a regular airdrop, and that's not super rare because the plane is going to bring those in anyway. But if you want that tank, then shooting this flare gun outside the zone is the only way to obtain it, and not only that, but you got to secure it too. But finally, guys, coming in today at the number 1 spot, the rarest item in the game is actually a very strange one. This might surprise some of you guys. This is going to be the turntable. Now, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, you've never heard of this in your life, don't worry, because I feel like a lot of players just aren't even sure what this is. The turntable is essentially an item that spawns randomly on Erangel, and it acts as a music box. It can be found in very random houses and corners, and it has so many different spawn locations on only Erangel specifically at the moment. It might get added to other maps, but it plays music. You can open and shut it to either pause or play that music, and it can play different songs every time you open it as well. But it doesn't really do anything as far as practicality other than that, but it is so incredibly rare. I don't think I've ever seen one in a public match. Let me know in the comment section if you guys have ever seen the turntable in PUBG in your life, whether in custom games or in public matches. A lot of players, I wouldn't be surprised, don't even know this is a thing. On this list, I was gonna put the BRDM as the rarest until I thought of the turntable. I'm like, wait, that's actually genius, and I almost forgot about that because of how rare it was. But ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be the top 15 rarest items in PUBG. I really hope you did enjoy. Let me know in the comment section how many of these you have found in your game. If there's any you're missing that you've never seen before, let me know as well. Drop a like if you guys enjoyed the video, as I'd really appreciate it. Subscribe before you go if you are brand new. Don't forget to do that, and click the link in the description and go follow me over on Twitch. I'll be streaming tonight, the night this video goes live, and every other single night too. So make sure you go follow me over there, and I'll see you guys for the stream. But take it easy, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.